back to Math with Miss Swartz. Today we are looking at our CSA equations review. What we'll be doing is going through it. This way you can go back to this as much as possible, review it tonight, watch it again tonight, make sure you understand how to do everything that's on this review so that you're ready for the CSA tomorrow. So, we're just going to work through each of the problems. I'm going to try to slow it down step by step. This might be a little bit longer of a video, but hopefully that way you have a really good understanding and you're ready to go. So let's go ahead and get started. These numbers may look a little different, but they are the exact same problems. We just switched up some of the numbers. So just be aware the problems are the same. So number one, okay, it says which of the following equations is equivalent to the equation? So equivalent means equal, or the same as, okay? So we are going to work to simplify this side of the equation, and then we can see if from there we have an equivalent equation here. So if I distribute my negative 2 into both pieces, I'm going to have negative 2 times negative 2x, which is going to give me a positive 4x. And then negative 2, and be careful right here, where I see a lot of people make mistakes, we have to think of that as a negative 6. Anytime we see subtraction, it's the same as adding the opposite. So if you see subtraction, you get to treat it like a negative. Negative 2 times negative 6 is positive 12. So I'm looking over here for which one matches that, because right now it's simplified. It's not asking for you to solve for x, just asking for you which equation is the same. So which one looks exactly like that? I'm going to have A. Okay, so when we have multiple choice, you are expected to show work if you're able. I won't grade it if it doesn't have work shown, so you need to show that work, and then we'll go from there. So let's look at 3. We have 1/2 equals 1/9 c. So we're trying to get c alone. I know that 1/9 is being multiplied by c, so how do I undo multiplication? Is division. How do we divide fractions is the question. I'm going to use our method of copy.flip, or multiplying by the reciprocal. The reciprocal of 1/9 is 9/1. I can do the same thing over here. So I have 9/1 times 1/2. Multiply across, so I have 9/2 equals c. I can look for that over here. It doesn't seem to have that, so I'm going to see how many times does 4 go into 9. Well, sorry, 2 go into 9 would be 4 times with 1 left over, so c would be our answer there. Okay, for number 4, I need to combine any like terms that I have. Make sure each side is simplified. So 7x plus 3x is 10x. Minus 18 equals 22. From there, I'm working to get x by itself. So I need to work with the piece that's least attached to the variable, which is going to be our 18. I have minus 18, or a negative 18, so I'm going to add 18 to both sides. So I have 10x equals, add our 18, so we're going to get 40. And then the last step would be to divide by 10 to get x alone. As you can see, I'm working on the side with my variable, and I'm doing the inverse of whatever is happening between my number and my variable. So B would be our answer there. For 5, we have 2n plus 7 equals 41. Again, I'm going to work with the piece that's least attached to my variable. So I'm going to subtract 7. So I have 2n equals, so 41 minus 7, if you need to, you can borrow. You'll probably have a calculator tomorrow, so 34. Divide by 2 for our last step, so n equals 17. There we go. Now remember, with each of these 3, you can check to see if that's right by plugging your number back into the equation. So if you want to go ahead and do that tomorrow, maybe take that extra time. It might be beneficial. Moving on to number 6, it says which of the following describes the correct method for solving the equation below? We don't necessarily have to solve for x here. It's just asking us which way or how we should do that. So what are our first steps, and then what should we do after that? So if we look at this, we have a negative 6, so that was what would work first. So we're looking for something that says add 6 to both sides, because that's the inverse of that negative. So we can cross out B and D. okay? From there, we have 2 left, okay? So we have a negative 2/3, and we want to, well, these are being multiplied, so we would want to divide them, but be careful because when we actually work with division and fractions, we're multiplying by the reciprocal. So we're looking for the one that says multiply, so that would have to be C. So you can always narrow down your choices when we're talking about multiple choice. Okay, number 7. So now we're solving this equation. These have variables on both sides of these equations. So remember, we're trying to get all our variables to one side. So I'm going to subtract v from both sides. When I do that, I end up with 0 equals -2. Is that true? No, it is not. So we only have one option there. No solution. If we look at 8, we have 3.5w plus 2 equals 7w plus 2. So I'm going to try to get all my variables to one side. I'm going to subtract 3.5w because I have a positive 3.5w here. So I end up with 2 equals 7 minus 3.5 would give us 3.5 plus 2. Then I'm going to subtract 2 from both sides, so I have 0 equals 3.5w. And I'm going to divide by 3.5 on both sides, so 0 is our answer. 0 equals w. Alright, and last one on this slide, we have 4s plus 40. We need to simplify this side because it needs to be distributed. So we have 4s plus 40. You may already see our answer here, but if we get all our variables to one side, they end up both canceling, and we have 40 equals 40. That's true, so it could be any number. Alright, so hopefully you did those right. If not, make sure that you're copying down the correct way to do them and make sure you understand why. Alright, one of the tougher ones, but there is going to be a question like this on the test. So I would star it, make sure I know how to do it, all of those good things. We talked about yesterday that area equals length times width. So we're going to use that to help us plug in what we know. So it says the area is 54. So A is 54. And we're looking for W, okay? Well, we have the length here is 6. We're going to be multiplying by the width, but the width we don't really know, okay? The width is made up of W and 3. Well, if it's made up of W and 3, we're going to be adding those two. So this would be our equation. So this is what you would write here. Okay, a lot of people just want to put W, or a lot of people want to put 3W. Okay, no, we're adding those two pieces to figure out the whole length of this. Okay, so now I'm going to have to distribute. So I have 54 equals 6W plus 18. Now I'm going to solve to figure out what W is equal to. So I have to subtract 18. Borrow if you need to. 14 minus 8 is 6. And 36 would be our answer there. Divide by 6. So W equals 6. Okay, which means that this whole width would be 9. Which makes sense because 9 times 6 is 54. So you can check yourself. So notice you get a point for the equation, a point for showing work, and 1 point for the solution. Okay, now we have some that we have to work out on our own. So from here, we are going to notice we don't have any more multiple choice, so you got to know how to do this. We're going to get all our W's to one side. I only have W's over here, and then I have W and a constant here. So I'm going to move all of my pieces to the right here in this case. It would still work for me to move it to the left, but then I would have to remember to move my 12 over here. So just be aware that either way still works, but I'm going to go ahead and subtract 5/4 W. Over here I'm left with a negative 12. Notice I brought down that negative. And now I have to be careful. 3 minus 5, because I do have common denominators, so that makes my life easy. So 3 minus 5 is what we need to think. So we're going to get, or you could do keep, change, change. But either way, you're going to get a negative 2/4 W. You could leave it like that. You could simplify it if you'd like. But really, we just need to get W alone. So negative 2/4 W is being multiplied. To divide fractions, we're going to multiply by the reciprocal. I put a 1 over the 12 so that it's easy to see, okay, what we're multiplying. So we end up with W equals, well, a negative times a negative is a positive. 4 times 12 is going to be 48, and 2 times 1 is going to be 2. So if we simplify that, W equals 24. Okay, if we look at 15, we need to use the distributive property. So 25 times 8, you can use a calculator. It's 200 minus 25V, so we got to take it into both pieces, plus 8V equals 81. So if you do keep, change, change, we have a negative 25V and 8V. Make sure we combine our like terms, so we have 200 plus negative 17V, if we subtract these two. Okay, now I have a two-step equation here. Work on the side with the variable, subtract 200 from both sides. So you can go ahead, use a calculator. 81 minus 200. Gives us 119, I believe. Negative 119. Divide by negative 17. And B, a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so we will get 7. And you can plug that in and check it. Okay, if you really wanted to. I highly suggest it, but I can't make you. So here on 16, we're going to add 8c to both sides because this side has a variable and a constant. This side just has variables. Got negative 84 equals, okay, 8c plus 6c is going to give us 14c. We'll divide by 14. Negative divided by a positive is a negative. 84 divided by 14 is 6, so we get negative 6. Look here, 1 point for algebraic steps, 1 point for solutions. We must show your work. Okay, another work problem here, so we're going to distribute. We get 3z minus 12 equals 7z plus 2. Get all of your variables to one side. I'm going to subtract 3z. I get negative 12. Ooh. Equals 7z minus 3z is 4z plus 2. Two-step equation here. Work with the piece that's least attached to the variable. Okay, on the side with the variable. If you have to draw that line down the middle, that's great. Negative 12 minus 2. Keep, change, change. We get negative 14 equals 4z. Okay. Divide by 4. So now it's just a fraction. I can leave it as an improper. Negative 7/2 or 3 1/2. Negative 3 1/2. Either one would work. Okay, 18. You purchased 4 books and a CD. The cost of the CD is $12.75. Your total bill before tax is $38.47. Write and solve an equation to find the cost of the books. You get a point for the equation and a point for the solution. So, okay, we don't know how many books we bought. We're going to call that B. Sorry, we do know how many books we bought. We just don't know how much the books each cost. So we're going to say 4B plus the cost of the CD is $12.75 is going to equal our total bill, which is $38.47. That would be our equation. That would belong there. Then we just have to solve. So I'm going to subtract 1275. Again, you are able to use a calculator. We have 4b equals 38.47 minus 1275 gives us 25.72. Divide by 4. And each book would cost us $6.43. So you need both pieces there. Okay, now we have one of our triangle quadrilateral type problems. Okay, so we are going to be solving. We have to write an equation and then we solve for each piece. So the sum of the angle measures the sum. That means we're going to add them all together. So we have 3x plus 2x, okay, plus x plus 12 plus 2x plus 4. What is that all going to equal? It tells us right here, 360. So now I need to go through and combine like terms. Remember, like terms are ones that look similar. Okay, they're like, they have x's. Okay, 3x plus 2x is 5x, plus x is 6x, plus 2x is 8x. And then we have 12 plus 4, because those are constants, 16. Now I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. Solve my equation like I normally would. This belongs here, the equation right here. And then we'll start figuring out the other pieces. 360 minus 16 will give us 344. And we're going to divide by 8. X is equal to 43. So that's what this belongs to. Then you need to figure out all the other pieces. So 3x is just 43 times 3, which is 129. 43 times 2 for 2x is 86. And we have 43 plus 12, which is 55. So I'll write this out so that you see what I'm doing here. And then here we have 2x, which we said already was 86, plus 4, which would give us 90. So you need to fill in all of those pieces. And you will have to tomorrow as well. We did one of these on the quiz, so hopefully you kind of understand how we do that. Okay, and our last couple questions here, we have to be able to write these equations. We did this in the bell work. So 2 more than the product of a number n and 18. So the product of a number n and 18 would be 18n, because product is multiplication, and 2 more than that would be plus 2 is equal to the product of a number n and 19. Well, the product of a number n and 19 is multiplying, so there we go. 28 says 1 less than 4 times the number n. Okay, so focus here. 4 times the number n is 4n. If it's 1 less than that, it wouldn't be up here that we write our plus minus 1. It's 1 less than this, so it's after. Okay, and then we have the is equal. Notice that they're kind of in the middle there. 14 more than negative 11 times the number n. So make sure you have that negative piece there. Alright, so a little bit longer of a video here. If it takes you a little bit longer to watch it, that's okay. I just want to make sure you understand how to do every problem. If you have questions, come see me. Be ready for your quiz tomorrow. Have a great day.